10 minutes till it starts. Chat, poor chap meat Sheila. Alright, 5 more minutes to go. Huh, Vor would, the Pyre Elves, yeah, Vor would love that. Okay, that's pretty awesome. I'd like to have that. It's just a fan creation, but it'd be a neat little pet to have. Hope that little banner ad will go away. Because as you can see, I don't have Twitch Premium, so it's showing me ads. There it goes. Good. That looks like a Vaporeon that's had a very rough night. That looks pretty cool. That one's obviously a joke, but still interesting. They're supposed... Oh, no. Okay. One minute and counting. 30 seconds to go. And I'm sure they're going to make us wait to the very end of the stream to actually tell us which quarter Alpha 2 is going to be in. Yeah, I kind of like these rabbit mounts. I think I might try to get myself one of those. Alright, here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Ashes of Creation December development update. We hope that you've been having, I know, it is our last development update for the year. That's crazy to say.
For 2023, that is crazy to say.
Yeah, the book is closing on 2023, but 2024 is going to be a very exciting one for us. If you haven't been following along, Alpha 2 is happening in 2024, but we'll be, stick around to the end. We might have some other little announcements for you.
Yeah.
But, of course, we hope that you all have been staying safe and,
Of course, they're teasing the Alpha 2 announcement there.
We wish you all happiness and safety, especially coming into this holiday season. But we've got a lot of good things to talk about. As you can see from below, we have our reminders today. There's some good ones in there. Ranger update. So those of you who are Ranger folks out there, definitely get your bows prepared. Knock those arrows because we are gonna be shooting all kinds of things today.
Yes. And it's been a while since we've had an archetype showcase. The last one was the cleric, which was several months ago.
That's true. And we have shown a preview of the Ranger. So if you have been following us for a while, you've seen a little bit of it, but it has changed quite a bit. And there are a lot more abilities to showcase for you all. And there's still more to come. So this is just still even just the cusp of it. So stick around with us. We got a journey. We'll do a little studio update. And of course, we have some cool art from our art team that they love to share with you guys. And then we'll do a Q&A. And then, we might have something else at the end. So stick around. So with that, I'll go through the updates. Also, Steven's background looks like it's fake, but I know it's real.
I was just about to ask that.
And every single time I see it, it looks like one of those fake backgrounds.
I know. It's very festive. I thought, it's December, Christmas. Maybe we'll do a little bit of the Christmas background. By the way, I love your tree in the background, that Phoenix tree. Holy smokes.
Thanks.
How cool is that? So at the end of Christmas, does it just burn away, like it burns into ash, and then it reignites next season?
I got the flocked tree specifically because I was like, it gives the ashes vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it totally does. I think it looks great. I love
put
it.
This together in 20 minutes while baking broccoli.
we both have an element of fire in the background. I got the fireplace. You've got the Phoenix fire tree. That's kind of cool.
I put a festive sweater on. Well, it's actually a dress, but you can't see it. So
John said I can't wear the Intrepid shirt. I have to do something that's like wintry look. So he wanted me to wear the.
I was gonna say I don't know if I've ever seen you wear like a white sweater before. It looks good. Looks good. But we are all festive. It is. I think even our PI folks, because we have like a PI meeting that we do every month, they were like, "You guys are so chill. You're calm." I think it's the calm before the storm at the end of the year.
It's the storm. Yeah, I was about to say it's just everyone's bracing, breathing in. Hold tight. Hold. That's what's happening.
The team has been working really hard, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in our studio update. But of course, let's get into our reminders. Thank you all for joining us. We hope that you are just as excited as us for the end of this year. And of course, our first one here is our YouTube subscribers comment spotlight. Don't forget that if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, make sure you have that public. And then also leave a comment on our next dev update. So this update when it goes live. And you too could be spotlighted. This week's spotlight, or this month's spotlight, is infinitely random. And they want to know any plans to add AI voices to speechless text. NPCs.
I
And I
hope they
thought
do.
we've talked a little bit about
The text
this
to voice stuff has
topic
gotten a
before,
lot
so those
better.
of you who have been with us for a long time may have heard an answer. But I thought maybe this could be a cool way for us to also talk about AI in general and where our
Sure.
stance is on that, because obviously it's a big thing in this industry of this last year, especially.
Yeah, I think that um, some of the technology and the advancements that we've seen, not just within the gaming industry, but a broad uh, scope of AI influence, um, is something that we are keeping a close eye on. And we have some plans to investigate and inspect a few of the designs and approaches that we've taken, particularly as it relates, I think, to this question and AI voice over potential to influence our narrative loops and how players interact with general AI dialogue. And there is an opportunity there, but it's not one that we have fully explored yet, although it is on the docket for the first part of next year for us to analyze what potential exists from a leveraging standpoint for this new tech. And I would say stay tuned. Stay tuned next year as we give updates. You'll likely see some things, perhaps even in Alpha 2, that could relate to that. We'll see. But it is something we are aware of, and we are keeping close tabs on how to integrate and leverage as part of Ashes.
All right. Hopefully that gives you enough fuel for your answer there, Infinitely Random, and we appreciate you subscribing to our channel
That
and
was a good
showing us some
question.
love. Reminder also that, hold on a second. I need to turn off these notifications. If you're hearing that, I apologize. This is my Slack notification going off. We also have our dev discussions up right now. We have one, and we had teased this last time about drop rarity. How do you feel when it comes to rare loot? Do you prefer when rare mobs and bosses drop something interesting often or less? Let us know what your thoughts are. I mean, I know most of you are out there hunting for gear progression, and you definitely have thoughts on this. So please head on over to our forums and give us your thoughts on it so that we can wrap that
I just
report up
like
and send it
mobs to
over to our
drop things
development
that
team.
you
And our
see them
next
carrying.
one
If
is going
you're
to be on
fighting a bandit and it
codes.
has a
So if
sword
you're
and some
interested
leather armor, it
in,
should drop a sword and
what
some leather
I think
armor.
even someone put in a
I
question
hate
though
this thing
specifically
where
about
they've
like
gone
different
to in
types of
random
colors and
games
things
where
like that. So if you have
you just
thoughts,
get
make sure that
whatever the
you
loot that
are sharing
drops
them
is
with
on
us
a
because the
table
development
that's
team
totally
is
unrelated to what the
pretty on it
character is
about
actually
checking our
holding it in
reports,
game.
and
Yeah,
we always
and
love
that's a
sharing
big
them.
question. That's a big question too. I mean, I remember some of the games that I have played, some MMOs in the past, where this was long before the standardized modernization of like every participant gets a bound item when the raid ends. This was like, no, the raid boss was a loot pinata, and maybe it took 100 people to kill it, but it only dropped like 6 or 7 complete items. And you had to orchestrate, like alliances would orchestrate their own like itemization owner who would like keep a list of the participants that
Like
were
DKP.
attending. Yeah, absolutely. And you
Yeah,
would have to assign that out. I mean, that was the old school way of approaching it. So when
I
you
like
guys go
that.
and I like it too, personally. And when
I
you
think it,
go
it,
and
it makes it more challenging, and it makes the replayability of it is there because you need it, and then also,
absolutely.
you extend it to alts if there's drops that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
too
I
common or whatever. Yeah.
This is a great topic for you guys to go and comment on the forums and kind of give your experiences and expectations because it helps to validate our approach or give us considerations that perhaps we hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I will say that when we're going through these reports, it's always like the dev team's like, yep. They're like on the same page as you guys, which I think for the most part is pretty awesome. There are some cases where obviously we're going to follow our design passion and love because we're like, you don't think you want this, but you do. And we'll test those out. And like Stephen always says, in our alpha and beta phases, even when we launch, if there's
Yeah,
drastic
so in
feedback,
my
we're going to
opinion, if we
analyze that
have like
feedback.
a,
We're going to analyze
if
the
you
data,
fight
and we're going
like
to
a
make sure that
hundred
we're making good decisions and
bandits
move
that
forward.
have
Because I think that
swords,
sometimes when
one out of
all of
those
us get
100 will
together
drop
and
a
analyze, or just bounce
uncommon
feedback
sword
off
instead of a
what
normal sword,
developers aren't willing to
and enchantment
see
on
the
the
side of the
uncommon
player,
sword will
and
be
that's the beauty.
completely
But
random.
fortunately, we are all players, so that is the beauty of it, and we are playing our game every
Yes.
day. It is
I know.
mandatory.
Exciting.
um, And of course, we did do a holiday
So
delicious
that way you have an
donation
access
that we
to
had posted up on the
uncommon
forums.
gear
And it looks
without
like the
being
tournament meal
reliant on the
recipes for the delicious ranger sessions,
crafter, but
as well as
crafters have
the bonus
something to
junior
do
recipes, are up
specifically
on the
in the fact
forums.
that you can
So
go and tell them
congratulations to the team on
exactly
our
what you want
they
instead of,
won.
getting whatever rolls
I
for you.
loved working with Cody. Did an amazing job, aka Wagner. Did an amazing job putting these together and coming up with the recipes. I think I have like a little asset here. That's cute. There we go. Thank you, Mike, for that. Um, this isn't all of the recipes, but it's kind of cute. And of course, we'll also post them not in an image like this with just the text. Vecna has been really conscious of that because obviously some of you guys are want to copy paste it or translate it for your localization. So yeah, enjoy that. We're excited. We hope that you'll make some of these delicious meals as well. So send them to us over on our Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere, all of our social channels. If you do end up making these over the holiday break, we would love to see them. But yeah, we're excited. I'm really
Yeah, that'll
excited
be
for the
fun.
glow in the dark noodles, the Underrealm noodles.
Oh my God, that'd be
Yeah.
cool. How'd you get them glow in the dark?
Yeah, there's like a thing in there. If you look, I can't remember what the piece is.
It's like
Can't
sounds
read it
like
with the tiny text that I'm looking at
sounds
it
like
at.
some significant carcinogens that probably in those.
I did say that too. I was like, I don't know if that's healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's it was funny, but we
Just to
are
be clear, these recipes are not evaluated by the FDA in any way, shape, or form. So-
that's fair. That's fair.
yes.
Um, you know, create them at your own will. You don't have to eat them. You can just create it. And of course, don't forget to share your creations with us. We do want to see them if you do end up doing it. And if you enjoyed that, definitely give us feedback on the forums over there that you enjoyed seeing the recipes or doing that type of thing and getting kind of an insight into some of the recipes for the different races. Um,
Yes.
Next up, we just have a reminder that our Unseen Order cosmetics will be ending on January 17th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you would like a pre-order pack, now is the time to
Yeah,
grab
my
a pre-order
pre-order
pack.
pack isn't very
We will
good,
be
but
assessing
at least it's
our
not this one because this one is
server
absolutely
capacity and
hideous.
things of that sort, and like where we're at in regards to that as we go into Alpha 2. So we may expand the ability to get access to Alpha 2 in other ways, but this is the last pre-order pack that will be available. So if you are interested in that, it is a
Really,
great deal.
only
You
a
get a
few
lot
of
of
the
goodies with
pre-order
it
packs were stuff
for
that I actually liked,
a
and
price that is less
at the
than
time
what
those
you'll
were
get
available, I
nowadays.
just didn't have the $500 to buy it.
Because
It is happening.
yes, because there is time too that's incorporated in that, like game time, and game time is expensive.
Very
Um,
true.
and there's also an FAQ up, so if you have questions in regards to anything, um, there's answers for you over there. And like I said, there will be other opportunities potentially to get access to Alpha 2. It's just that we are trying to close things down to make sure that we're in a good space and we're ready and we know what our concurrency is going to be when we go into that. As many of you have played many MMOs, we want to make sure that the server experience is in a good place. Um, and next up, we have just a reminder of the content creator program. It is still up for application phase. We will probably be closing the application phase for a little bit of time as we're going through those. We're going to be hiring on some content creator relations folks and powering through that soon. So if you're interested, or if you're already
Yeah, I'm
on it and
signed
you're
up
good
for
to go,
this.
or if you're already on it and you need to edit it, you should be able to go to that form and edit it and update anything that you want as well. We will do our best to get back to everybody. Stephen wants us to get back to everyone, even if you're not in the program, so you have a confirmation of whether you are or aren't. And then also, we are working
Oh,
on
that'd
an
be nice.
academic program too for people who maybe aren't in the quite ready for the program, but we think with a little training they could be. To
Yeah.
give them some advice. So it's going to be a lot of staffing that we need to do on our end, but I think that in the long run, we're going to have a really, really cool content creator program like I haven't seen at any other company before that
Agreed.
I've worked for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's an important part, right? Content creators are a big portion of how the company is able to communicate with its audience. And it's important not only to foster the relationships, but also to hone the techniques. And I think that this particular program is going to be very useful for a lot of people to hone those techniques, to
and
make
for us
sure
to
they're
work with folks. And I do want to make
Absolutely.
it clear we're not looking for people who are only big creators, right? Just because you have
Correct.
200 subscribers, that's not a big deal to us. We're still
How
going to be
about
working
40?
with
That's
you
where
just
I'm
as much as
sitting
we would for
about
somebody who's
around 40.
200,000. So
Yep.
it's really a matter of, you're obviously going to get less codes than that person because you have less followers, but like we're going to make sure that you're engaged with us, that you get the information that you need, but it's also still fair to our other users. I think that's
Yeah.
also important. I think a lot of us have played in games where like content creators get benefits that are like better than everybody else. You're like, what? It really is more about a relationship. Beyond that, I've been chatting with Vacnar and Roshan as well. There are other programs that will come into play down the line, like guilds, artisans, those type of things. So if there's other things or
Fun
PvP stuff,
times.
so
Yes.
as we get closer to launch, you'll see some of those programs come online, or programs like that come online based on what our users are doing and how we can engage with you guys in order to make sure that there's cool stuff that you can be doing in our community. And whatever our
Absolutely.
community is gravitating towards, that's where we're gonna try to help uplift you guys. It's definitely a mutual thing. So we really want to be engaged with our audience, unlike some other games that we've been part of.
Oh,
I'm not going to call
no.
out names.
Oh,
Um,
no.
and with that, I think I have covered all of our reminders. So, do you want to preface anything with the Ranger?
I do. I do want to preface some things. So, first of all, I do want to say that we have heard our community with the way that we present the live stream showcases. And I've asked Margaret to prepare the YouTube video to launch simultaneously with the presentation on Twitch. So for those of you, here's what I would ask, who want to go watch it in 4K while the stream is still continuing. You can do so on YouTube. It'll be up in just a few moments, right when we started here. But make sure that you're still offering your comments in Twitch, because I do read those. Margaret reads them. The team reads them. It's very important. And come and join us afterwards for the discussion as well. So you're not allowed to leave
I'm actually
necessarily. You
kind
can't
of
just go watch the YouTube
glad to
video and then
hear
sign off. You have
Steven
to
not coughing
still
so much
watch the
anymore.
stream.
If
You
you
finally
haven't
got rid of
noticed,
that
I
cough
got
he's
questions
had
from
for the last
the
year.
channel.
Yes.
Roshan and Beckner both pop questions over here in the different various places that they're at. So we are, if you have questions along the way while you're watching, making sure that you post in like our Twitch channel is very important so that we can get your answers for you.
Absolutely, 100%. Now, about the showcase. So, as Margaret said, and as you guys have been anticipating, we are going to be looking at the Ranger archetype. And again, this is a work in progress. The UI is still very much a functional UI. The VFX still have multiple rounds of passes that need to be done on them. But this gives you an understanding kind of the direction that the archetype progression and development has gone as it relates specifically to the Ranger, and of course, you can derive from that insights for other classes and other archetypes and how they will interact. This is a very fun showcase, obviously, with the combat team. Trad, Brian, and Keenan join me. They've been regulars on the show in the past. The last time we discussed the Ranger was actually in 2022, and it was a very brief discussion about ranged basic weapon combat with a few, maybe 2 or 3 Ranger abilities sliced in. Today, you're going to be watching near 1 hour presentation that talks about upwards of 18, 19 different abilities with some 20 odd passives and weapon progression tree. When you analyze this, I did turn off cooldowns, of course, at the beginning to kind of demonstrate each of the abilities. I turned them back on afterwards. Very 2 important things to keep in mind when you're thinking about feedback and you're thinking about essentially what you want to share about your thoughts for the presentation is on the abilities, the status conditions that get applied and how they promote the role the role of the archetype as well, being a ranger and not seeing, potentially a lot of melee abilities, but a lot of ranged. So focus on those 2 aspects, the interconnectivity with the other classes from a group perspective, and each of the individual abilities. We're going to be
And that's
in...
not to say that you could not spec more melee oriented.
Absolutely.
Right. I just want
Yes,
to be clear
correct.
to
Yes.
people.
And very clear to remember, this is base archetype. So this is not class. This is not the combination of your secondary, which will fundamentally change through the augment system some of those basic abilities. So without further ado, enjoy the presentation.
We'll see you on the flip side.
everyone, and welcome to another day in Vera. We have a very exciting stream for you today. It has been some time since we have showed off a bit of the ranged combat, and today we are going to be talking about the Ranger archetype with some 17, 18, 19 skills. I can't remember what we're going to be showcasing today in the base archetype, but it is a whole lot of Ranger. And I have joining us today 3 of our glorious developers, 2 of our senior designers, Trad and Brian. Trad, Brian, how you guys doing?
Doing good. Glad to be here. I think it's been a couple since we did our last combat showcase.
I know.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Happy to show off the Ranger.
Yeah, you've been putting in a lot of work on this, Brian. I know this is
Not just me, the whole team.
absolutely the whole team. But Rangers are near and dear to your heart, right? Aren't you a Ranger player? Don't you play some Rangers?
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite classes. They're often not done justice in games, so getting the opportunity to do right by Ranger mains makes me happy.
Yes. And then, of course, the man behind the magic, the senior engineer, and the owner for the PC core team, Keenan. How you doing, Keenan?
I'm alive. Happy to be here, though.
Yeah. This is, by the way, this is a really cool environment. I see Carvin in the background. We're here in winter. It's definitely giving me the Christmas vibes. And it is beautiful. I mean, the environment team, holy smokes, what an amazing job. I love the snow, everything. It feels so cozy.
It does.
Now, we have, let's see, I'm in your party. We have established from some feedback from the community on the showcasing that little one by one of each ability before we get into any combat situations with some mobs or NPCs is desired. It's a nice clean way for us to kind of showcase obviously all the hard work that's gone into the creation of this excuse me, into the creation of this archetype. I apologize for coughing, guys. I've recently got sick and I'm still recovering a little bit, but I am doing much better now. So I think this is a great place. What is this, like some dried up riverbed or something? It looks pretty cool. Get some nice colors in here. Now, obviously, as a disclaimer, before we begin, I do want to say that UI, VFX, 100% a work in progress. Oh my God, there's a bird up there. And
I got him.
Oh, thank you. Good. It was a scary little bird. The UI is a work in progress. The VFX are a work in progress. Everything.
I actually
here is
like
to
the UI the
change,
way it is.
through testing. Obviously, Alpha 2 coming up is going to be a big opportunity for us to test a lot of this stuff. So please keep that in mind, especially you content creators out there who are going to do some review videos. Make sure you mention that at the start of your videos. Keenan, how do you feel about being a targeting dummy for the showcase of these abilities?
I'll tank it.
All right, let's do that. And do you have a healer? Trad? Very
Trad's got me.
All right, Trad's got you.
It's all on me here.
All right, there we go. All right, so I am now no longer in your party so that I can murder you. But I have set my cooldowns to 0.1, I believe, so that I can show each of these abilities off multiple times as we're talking about it. So please keep in mind, guys, as you're out there watching this display, the cooldowns here are set to practically nothing. Now we're going to do some combat afterwards. I'll set cooldown.
Looks like he
cooldowns
buffed up
back.
his mana
During
considerably
this display,
too.
they're set to nothing. Let us showcase our first ability. I see we have Snipe, and we showed Snipe off last year when we did our last ranged basic weapon combo update, and people got to see a little preview of it last month as well during our artisanship review. But talk to me about some of the changes that Snipe has gone through and what this ability serves as a purpose. Brian.
Yeah, so with Snipe, we've been leaning into it being an alpha strike ability. So it's what you want to open with to deal massive damage. And since it's got that charge up time, it's not as good to do when you're needing to kite something, but whenever you're just opening on something that's an unsuspecting target, it's the perfect ability for it. And if you have spec choices, there's other things that lean into it. For instance, you got that proc on you right now that's giving you 20% bonus attack speed on a successful snipe.
Oh, very cool.
wait.
Okay, let me take a look at that.
Fire it again. You'll see it.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah, Trad helped with this. He added this into the skill tree. Yeah, just procced on you there. So
Oh, there it is.
yeah, so your follow-up shots will come out even quicker.
Cool. So that proc is happening because I have spec'd into a passive. And let's take a look.
Yes.
This is the first time that people have actually seen the progression tree for a particular archetype in quite a while, actually, probably since our Alpha 1. But there has been a lot of work that's gone into this from you guys, of course. Talk to me a little bit about the different types of abilities we're seeing here.
Trad, do you want to take this one? Because you put a lot of work into this.
Sure. I mean, we're going to go through all these as we go through and show them off one by one. But what you're seeing at a high level here is just what you'd pretty much expect of a traditional skill tree. We're doing something a little more advanced than just like a bottom-up structure because we're being a little bit more freeform in this iteration. This will obviously see more UI iterations in the future, but you'll see like a mix of active and passive abilities here. Actives are indicated by their square shape, while the circular ones are representing passives. And one thing to note as well is that these passives are aiming to be a little more interesting than just like, you know, this ability does more damage now, or this, you know, it has a lower cooldown. Like we do have some of those too, but the goal with a lot of these passives, in addition to that, is to allow people to lean into unique playstyles. So you'll notice that some of them are changing your gameplay in meaningful ways, and that's the direction we want to take player and character customization as a whole.
Very cool. Yeah, I love it. Obviously, you know, this is all subject to intense feedback from the testers who will be participating as part of Alpha 2. All of this stuff is subject to change, as I said, but it gives you guys a very good idea direction-wise, and your feedback is, of course, why we do these development updates, so please make sure that you give us your thoughts back on this type of progression tree. In addition to the archetype progression tree, we also have something that interacts with each of the archetypes, and that is a weapon progression tree as well. Now, obviously, the format of this particular weapon skill tree that you're seeing here is a relatively simplistic one, but talk to me a little bit about the intent and purpose behind the weapon skill tree.
Yeah, so the intent here is to give you choices. Either I want to extend and improve my combo, or I want just passive benefits that increase my attack speed or crit chance in this case with the short bow. And yeah, as you can see, the tree's a lot more simple, kind of like a stage 1 tree, work in progress, but it'll get fancier over time.
And I see on the far right-hand side, Brian, that there are additional combo steps. So let me actually unspec these additional combo steps so that we can talk first about the basic weapon combo, and I'm just going to demonstrate that here. I'm going to use the short bow. Now, this is a short bow we are using. You guys remember from last year when we showcased ranged weapons that we had obviously a number of them. Some of them arcane, some of them physical, but the two bow types that we have are long bow and short bow. I'm using the short bow, as you can see. It is a copper short bow. And let's see what this looks like without the combo upgrade.
That's 4 hits there.
Very cool. So it's relatively rapid pace, especially compared to that of the longbow that you guys got to see a little while ago. Let us talk about speccing now into these additional combo steps. And what does that do? Oh, you know what?
Yes. So we've done a lot of experimentation over the past couple months to find out what's the shortest and what's the longest combo that's acceptable, because we had this goal where we wanted to have combo length progression available to players, so that certain builds could have longer weapon combos and other builds can have shorter weapon combos with more passive effects. And this has been the result of our exploration. So when you start out, you've got a pretty quick 4-hit combo, but whenever you unlock the additional hits, you get the 5th and 6th hits, which add approximately 50% to the overall combo length, but we found that gave a pretty satisfying floor and ceiling to how long the combo can be.
Fully automatic short bow there.
Absolutely, the change, obviously, in the pace between not having specced into the combo and getting those additional 5th and 6th steps
So in addition to the later hits in the combo doing additional damage, you also unlock proc effects. So on your 5th hit, you unlock the special 5th hit, which gives you 10% bonus critical strike chance, which you just proc there. And then the 6th hit, you unlock the special 6th hit, which gives you Arrow Storm, which causes your next, I believe, 10 attacks to fire an additional arrow at the target.
Very cool.
So that combos really well with rapid fire abilities such as the next ability we're going to be looking at.
All right, let's take a look at Barrage. So Barrage, it says, fires a continual barrage of arrows at your target for 1.5 seconds, dealing 12% physical damage per arrow. Okay, let's take a look at this.
It might not seem like a lot per arrow, but it
Oh
fires a
my
lot of
gosh.
arrows.
Wow.
That's a chart. Is this?
I
a
thought the
charged
last
ability?
one was a machine gun, but damn.
No.
Right now you only have one charge,
Okay.
and we did some iterations with this, and a lot of play testing, and yeah, we changed this back to only having one charge, and you can reduce the cooldown of this by completing a weapon combo.
Okay, alright. Let me see this. So if I complete a weapon combo, it would reduce the cooldown. Now, right now I'm set to 0 cooldown, so we can show that off a little bit later. Talk to me a little bit about Headshot.
Yeah, headshot. It starts off. So there's ways that you can specialize this that turn it into the execute that it was born as originally. It does pretty high damage, but if you spec it appropriately, it does bonus damage when the target's below 50% health, and if the target is marked, it has 50% reduced cooldown, I believe, with the spec that you have.
Oh, cool.
So-
Okay. So if I have a mark on the target, then I get a 50% cooldown.
Yeah, you get 50% reduced cooldown on headshot.
Nice. Now,
So
we
that's
haven't
kinda your
talked about
rotation
marks
there.
before.
Open with snipe,
Talk to me a
follow
little
up
bit
with
about
barrage,
the
and finish
intent
off with
behind,
headshot.
Marks.
Yep. The intent behind marks is to provide a burst window on the target. Often in other games, it's just bonus damage. This is much more significant on the impact that this will have on the target. It's basically marking the target for death has a pretty huge effect. For instance, Mark of the Tiger, it grants 50% bonus critical chance to all attacks striking the target. Mark of the Bear is minus 25% armor, and Mark of the Raven is a bonus hit that occurs every time the target is struck, and it scales up in damage based on how low on health the target is.
Okay, so let me try Mark of the Bear. So this reduces their mitigation by 25%. So when I use an ability first, like Headshot, I just did 76 damage. If I were to start Headshot and then I can use the Mark of the Bear while I'm channeling the or casting the Headshot, it will apply to the target while I'm essentially using Headshot. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. Keenan and the engineers made us some awesome.
Wow, that's a huge
you might know it
difference.
in other games as off-global cooldown tech. We call it simultaneous casting, and yeah, that allows you to cast your marks at the same time as other abilities, allowing for very efficient use of time.
Awesome. Okay, so now it's gone from him. I'm doing 76 again. Wow, that's a significant
That
bump.
provides an interesting addition
Yeah,
to
Mark
combat.
of the Bear is really good against tanky targets.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mark of the Raven. Let's take a look at this.
So you'll need to know what you're fighting in
I
order
love
to use this
specs.
to the
Scott
best
has done
ability.
Such a great job with these.
Yeah, I love that he decided to join the VFX team and come over and help us with combat. He's doing a great job so far.
Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, they look great. Very cool. That's awesome. Now, in addition to marks, talk to me, Trad, a little bit about hunts. What are the hunts intended to do?
For sure. So unlike marks, which are debuffs on the target, hunts are different buffs you can put on yourself. They're both themed pretty similarly. At first, we had started with linking these two concepts directly, like you would put the hunt on yourself and then shoot that hunt out as a mark, and infuse the target with that. But we ended up kind of separating them just to make them a little bit more independently and freely usable. But the theming you can see is the same. We've chosen the tiger, bear, and raven animals, but they're stay tuned for more. And yeah, like you guys are talking about, the visuals for these are really cool. But yeah, these are basically like different buffs that you will put on yourself, and they do tend to have some synergy with their respective thematic creatures.
So I used Mark of the Raven this time. I was doing 96 damage, but that's because I had Hunt of the Raven, which is giving me additional physical penetration. But let me use Mark of the Bear on the target while having that Hunt active. And now instead of doing 117, I'm doing 179.
Nice. I'm liking this system.
Oh, I'm doing 117 again, but that's because... Let me see. Let me try this. Hold on. Mark of the Tiger. See, no, that's increasing critical chance. Mark of the Bear is not doing it. Let's try that. Okay.
Maybe Keenan doesn't have enough armor for the extra to help.
Oh, poor Keenan. Not enough armor.
Gray armor.
He is in kind of some newbie gear down there.
Oh no. Okay.
Well, he's only level
Alright, but that
7.
Is the thing about the armor pen is that will scale more and more effectively the more armored your target is. So you can think of it as like a counter stat
Very cool.
for people who build that up.
That looks awesome. All right, so now we also have Scattershot, and this is one of our first AoE abilities. Talk to me a little bit about Scattershot.
Yes, like you said, it's a AoE ability. It fires out in a cone in front of you, about 20 meters ahead. And we've got some pretty cool tech with this. The first is we're drawing a targeting decal that only the caster can see to help like align the cast as you're firing it. The second cool thing that we're doing here is you can actually charge the ability into a beam, which is better for lower amount of targets. So if you just want to hit a wide field of targets, you would just quick cast it, but if you were interested in AoEing a specific smaller pack, it'd be more efficient for you to do the charge cast.
This is going to be where your action
I have
combat
to hold
part
the
comes in.
charge to completion to get the additional damage value, essentially.
Yes.
Very cool. Now, this is obviously a big point of feedback that I think people can provide. Obviously, there's a lot of interesting thoughts around subjective, of course, around UI and decal elements that help to communicate kind of these AoEs. As Brian said, this is obviously going to be a decal that is only shown to the caster, not shown across to multiple players. But what is the desire of our community when it comes to showcasing and demonstrating kind of the area of effect for certain types of spells? Do you want something, obviously this is done very elegantly. I think Scott did this one as well. I think it looks great.
Yes.
But this is something that is a point of feedback that we want to collect from players as you guys get to kind of play through Alpha 2, and as you're seeing these these updates, what do you enjoy most about conveying these area of effects? And this isn't the only area of effect spell we have. We also have Airstrike, and we've seen Airstrike in the past as well, but this one's received a little bit of TLC. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, and just real quick, the reason why you're hearing my voice a lot is I'm the owner of the Rangers, so
Yes.
I'm in charge of this class, so that's why I'm the one that's why you're hearing my voice a lot. Anyways, Airstrike, we gave this an update. We replaced the particle effects because they were way too laggy. So yeah, Scott again did a pass on these. They look amazing. We also let you have air control with this, so you can steer it while you're in the air. And we fine-tuned the animation. I believe Alex put in some time to make sure that it's holding you only for the right amount. It's not grabbing you and locking you in place weirdly on landing. We really polished up how it feels whenever you use it. So it's just really seamless and nice to use. Oh, and the effect that it's providing, if you actually hit a target with it, it does pretty big damage and also roots the target. So this is a really good skill. Whenever your tank pulls in a big pack of monsters, you just airstrike over top of it, lock it all down in place, and then you and your mages blow up the pack.
I think it looks great. The animation changes that Alex did look awesome. The additional.
Oh, this would be
functionality,
so annoying to
of
anybody
course,
that's
the
melee only.
Air movement, I think, is something that people are going to love.
Although I imagine if
Obviously,
you have a high ping, this would be a very difficult ability to use.
Mechanical benefit for the Ranger because it's, in addition to damage, is also a CC effect. Talk to me a little bit about the CC that airstrike conveys, and what's its intended purpose like in combat. I mean, there's mobility associated with it, there's damage associated with it, but CC, it's kind of has a broad spectrum of effect conveyed.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful ability and has a long cooldown because it's providing that wide spectrum of effect. The Ranger is one of the most mobile classes. It's second to the Rogue only, so this is part of how we're providing that mobility benefit. And yeah, whenever you hit targets, they're rooted in place; they cannot move. So it's very effective as an escape tool, but also the hard engage tool that kind of puts you at risk. But if you got a tank and a cleric at your back, maybe that's the right calculus for your play.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Let us try Thundering Shot. Talk to me a little bit about Thundering Shot.
Yeah, this is definitely a favorite ability on the team by a lot of people. It shoots a lightning arrow at the target, and if you're far enough away, I believe the conversion range is 10 meters, it does an additional AoE explosion around the target.
Ooh, okay. So that did 96. Let's see if I'm closer. Oh. Okay, so it does variable amount of damage, and also it changes it to be AoE around the target.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you get more damage. We wanted to have some abilities in the kit, at least with the showcase that we're showing right now, where it's range focused, where there is some advantage for staying at range, and also there's some advantage for closing on a ranger.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Next up, we have another lightning ability, but this one's called Lightning Reload. Talk to me a little bit about Lightning Reload, Trad.
Sure. This one's more of a self-buff effect. When you put it on yourself, it will allow you to use one of a few abilities without spending its cooldown. So I believe a couple of them are like Snipe, Headshot, Thundering Shot, ones we've already been through.
Okay.
If you pop that first, you get about a 5-second window, and if you use one of those abilities within that window, it will not trigger the CD, meaning you could use it twice back to back. You can also even use something that's already on cooldown by popping that first, so it's not like you have to already have it available.
Oh, okay.
So you can use it in a lot of pinches.
So this is another concurrent channel effect that I can use. Brian, what are some of the cool combos with this?
Yeah, one of my favorite ones is the triple headshot combo. So if a target is marked, headshot on them has 50% reduced cooldown if you're spec'd for it. So what you can do is you can mark someone, you can headshot, and as you're charging up the first headshot, throw a mark. And then whenever the headshot hits, you lightning reload, and then you get 2 more headshots right after that. And it makes a really nasty combo for finishing off a target that's already below 50% health, because you're getting that bonus damage on headshot too at that point, which makes its efficiency per second higher than Snipe.
Okay, so with Mark of the Raven,
Man, with how involved this archetype is, you're going to have to really know and play your archetype a lot.
Any of the marks will do it.
Okay,
any of the
cool.
marks will provide a 50% reduced cooldown on headshot.
All right, and I currently have Hunt, Physical Penetration, but we've already determined that you don't have enough physical mitigation. So let us do Hunt of the Tiger, and let us apply Mark of the Bear on you while we're casting 3. So it's going to be 3 shift 4, and then you said lightning reload and 3 twice more?
Yes.
Should I start with Snipe first?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, so Snipe to 3 while doing Mark of the Bear. All right, let's try that.
I'm gonna need some heals, Trad.
Really?
Oh, but you know what? I did that with the cooldown set to
Yeah.
nothing. Oh no, hold on. Let me set that back to 1. So, okay, so this is the normal cooldown frequency. Okay. Oh,
Not representative of real gameplay.
correct. Yes. All right, let's try that again. I'm going to do the Mark of the Bear. All right, here we go. Ooh, okay, very cool. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, it feels pretty crisp. And yeah, if Keenan was below half health there, he would have taken. I mean, he might have died.
Oh my God, Keenan.
Not with me as his healer.
I know. You're too good.
All right, let me set
Oh,
cooldowns
God,
back
could you imagine a
on
couple
that.
rangers in a group coordinating their fire?
Okay, we've showed off lightning reload. Next up, I have bear trap. Talk to me a little bit about bear trap.
Yes, bear trap. So we went through a couple iterations on this. We wanted a very solid trap ability. It's right in the name. But often in games they're either too small, they activate too short, they're just not, or they don't last long enough. There's lots of ways for a trap to suck. And we think we got bear trap in a decent spot where it's pretty usable. You can pre-place them on the ground. They last for, I believe, 30 seconds after you place them. So it's a very strategic ability, allowing for zone control. You can place these in between you and a hostile target and kite them into it. You can make like a little trap wall in front of you so that if people are closing
Oh,
on
so you can have more than
or
one of them
either
up
you're
at
setting
the
a
same
gate
time.
and you want to set that up beforehand, so whenever there's a counterattack, you're already prepared for it.
Very cool.
It definitely benefits that strategically minded player.
Very nice. That looks that feels great. Can I hit my own bear trap? No, I'm just kidding.
No, thankfully.
I hope not.
But if I did, I'd have Call of the Wild.
Yes.
Talk
Maybe
to me about
maybe we
Call
should
of
just
the
show that
Wild.
one.
Yeah. Maybe what does Call of the Wild do?
It is a CC break and a movement buff. So if you get hit with a nasty stun or something, you can just break out of it and run away.
Ooh, that was cool. I love the effects. That looked awesome. Wait, let's try that one more time. So I'm running along. Give me a stun.
I gotta wait for the cooldown. Try it with the trap or something.
Hold on.
Yeah, but the Ranger is a fairly fragile class overall, so if they get a stun on them and it doesn't get cleansed, then
Here, I'll do it again.
Alright,
they'd be very nasty.
Ooh, that was good. That's great.
Yeah,
Very
all of
cool.
our archetypes will have their own versions of CC breaks, just because that is one of the things where players want answers to those kinds of situations, and that'll be part of your spec choice, right? Is like how much do you want to build into your ability to resist and break CC versus just be like a raw glass cannon, and accepting those risks. That all factors into like the decision making when it comes to specs.
Yeah, one of the pillars that we're trying to build combat on top of is giving players the true feeling of agency, like they're really in control of their character and what happens to their character, rather than just watching stuff happen to their character that they have no impact on.
Oh, it feels so good. Keenan, come over here. Let me try this next ability, Raining Death. Love the name of that, by the way. Feels like a perfect like band name for a heavy metal group.
Yeah, like a Slayer song.
I know. All right, very
Yes.
cool.
So Raining Death is also using a caster side targeting decal. So again, only the caster is seeing that targeting decal. And that allows them to line it up a little bit better and make sure they're hitting the targets that they want to hit. And another thing to note is we are making the spread of projectiles a little more even and dense. So yeah, as you notice, there's some spots in the decal that don't look like they're getting hit. They are actually getting hit because of this homing arrow tech. There's actually a hitbox that's being drawn there, and every target within that hitbox is getting a homing arrow fired at it. Actually, 2 homing arrows fired at it. So it is hitting stuff, even though it might not look like it right now. We're gonna improve that a little bit more. And Scattershot has a little bit of the same thing going on, where the spread's not really perfect, but yeah, that's currently in progress with our VFX artist to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a good representation of like where we've been trying to find a balance between making these abilities feel organic and not super like templated to use, but at the same time, at the end of the day, like gameplay is the name of the game, and we want these things to be reliable and consistent, both from the users and
Oh my
look
God.
at that, you're
Oh
taking
no.
advantage of the fact that I'm talking.
He just
I
turned
I
into
should have
ash.
expected that from you.
He just turned into ash.
It's okay. I rezzed him.
Oh,
You
that
gotta
was
roll.
so good. That was so good. That was little ash
I
loot piles on
forgot
the
what I was
ground.
saying.
I forgot
I
what you were
dropped some
saying too.
stuff.
That was a great effect. I think Siva worked on worked on. Excuse me. I think Siva worked on that as well as the snipe re-author as well.
But yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
Raining Death is an example where we iterate on these abilities multiple times, and sometimes it requires a complete rebuild. This is, I think, the third complete rebuild of that ability, because the previous versions just weren't good enough for our players. They were more direct fire projectile based, which is pretty cool because you see there's a direct connection between the projectile and dealing damage. But we found a solution where we can simulate the appearance of all the projectiles hitting, and then we can also have a homing volume underneath that. So it's very reliable while also looking super.
Out of mana. Sorry, Keenan.
Oh no, Keenan!
Oh no!
Oh, he's corrupted. Look at that.
Oh, did
Oh,
I turn
man.
corrupt?
Oh, I gotta take advantage of it.
Oh no. No, wait a minute. I have no cooldown.
You pissed off the cleric.
How did I go corrupt?
By killing an innocent player.
Ooh,
Nice.
Oh, we did it!
Damn.
Okay, wait.
Close one.
Don't kill me. Let me get back to what I was doing. All right, sorry. So,
See, Steven's a good player, guys.
yay! How dare you? Just because I show at a lower APM so everyone can see the fidelity of the effects and the gameplay around the environment and the NPCs doesn't mean I don't have a little bit of what is it called? Juice?
We'll just call it a dark side.
What is it called? The juice box? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we showed off a little bit of the bear claw. I mean the bear trap. The Call of the Wild. We went through lightning reload and thundering shot. We talked about the marks and the different hunts that exist. We have disengage to show.
yes.
Let's talk about
Disengage. Whenever you only have the ability, and you haven't unlocked any of the passives involved with disengage, it'll shoot you right back whenever you press it. So it's really good for creating space between you and some targets that are charging at you. You can just hit disengage and you'll flip back.
All right. Let me try that now. Go.
And yeah, like Steven's demonstrating, you can also use it for traversal.
Very cool.
Something that we learned with disengage though is people have different preferences for how they want this ability to activate. There's some people who've played a lot of ranger who are just like, you know what, I don't want to have to spin my camera around to press disengage, and to be able to go forward. I just want it to go forward when I press the button. So we made this omnidirectional disengage option, which costs zero skill points.
Yeah. That's awesome. But in the future, that'll be kind of an ability option that you can choose, right? Not necessarily through a passive effect.
Right.
That's the intent.
Correct.
Yes, that is the intent. We still need to do some work on how we're gonna display that to the player to make sure it's as apparent as a spec option, right? Because that's very apparent that you have that choice. And it can often be lame in games whenever had them in max is all in the options menu. But we're gonna make sure that that's nice and clean for our players and it's very apparent the options that they have available to them. But yeah, whenever you have the omnidirectional option engaged, now whenever you're pressing a movement key, disengage will send you in that direction instead of straight back.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, and then last but not least, and then we'll go up to the to the environment and just kind of play together a little bit, is the imbue ammo. Talk to me about imbue ammo.
Yep, so imbue ammo, whenever you cast it, it'll imbue your next, currently they're set up to imbue your next 10 shots, and this will probably go through another iteration, but currently it imbues your next 10 shots with a special effect. So we've got weighted ammo, concussive ammo, and barbed ammo right now. We're probably going to add more in the future. These are ammo imbues, so you're imbuing your next 10 shots with this effect. Weighted ammunition is a snaring effect, barbed is a bleed effect, and concussive is a stagger effect. Stagger reduces accuracy and evasion,
Nice. Okay.
and it
Keenan,
also increases trip duration. So
very
go ahead.
cool. Keenan, try just kind of running down this path, and let me do some weighted shots.
Another element of detail that I really like that you were down for going for, Steven, was it actually changing the appearance of the ammunition whenever you're firing it.
Yes, absolutely.
So when you load up weighted shot, it will actually swap your bullets that you're firing, not bullets, your arrows that you're firing to look the part. And it swaps, currently it swaps over both basic attacks and barrage.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, if you want to cast your ammo and then cast barrage, you can show that off.
Let's do it. Let me do probably. Let's do weighted as you're running again. Let's try that. That's so cool. Very cool. All right, let me set my cooldowns to something that's representative of real gameplay. Although I have far more abilities than I should at level 7, but that's okay. And I will join your party now. Oh no.
If we can even invite you.
No, you can. You can.
Oh,
I'm only
nice, okay.
corrupted. I mean, I'm not like a monster. Come on now.
That's true, true.
Now you might, however, flag when you heal me, but you know that's okay.
We'll see.
What do we got over here? Oh, I love that. That's awesome. My
Mushroom monsters and a raven.
oh,
Nice.
wow. The snipe followed the target. That was crazy.
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of aim offset there in animation that we did.
Yeah, that looks great.
Quite a few of the bow abilities do it actually. It's just a lot more obvious with snipe.
Yeah, headshot's another one. As long as it's within a certain angle, it will try to maintain tracking of the target. And yeah, the way that we pulled it off, it's not like affecting your control rotation at all. It's just an appearance thing.
Oh, it feels good. Feels very good.
Saw Luke icon on one
Yeah,
of those
it
mushroom
did not
monsters.
feel this good a while ago. I really want to give
There's
credit
another
to our
one.
playtesting process. This was in a much rougher state a couple months ago.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we get in the game. We play test it the same way that the players will be play testing it to make sure that it's going to be awesome.
Saw some sort of frost spider-like monster on top of that hill.
Has done is you've really defined your iterative loop, right? And obviously the most important aspect of that loop is going to be the playtesting aspect, which you guys playtest. I mean, I think every day, right? With NPC team and the world team, in helping to define, obviously not just the player character and the abilities you guys are authoring, but also
There's definitely some
the
sort of point of
playable
interest up
space
there.
and the
Yeah.
playable enemies that you're encountering as part of this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to note even when we're not in official playtests, like when we're building these things, we make it a key point to be playing the stuff as we're building it. Like the designers aren't just making stuff on paper and handing it off. Like we're in the tools, we're building these things, and we're in a game environment. And it's, I think, part of the reason that these things come together so nicely is we can like build them in real time and play them in real time as we do so.
Yeah, I mean it is.
It'll help, guys.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm just
Gotcha.
taking in the view a little bit over here.
Yeah,
It is-
just let your tank die. Yeah, fine. Just go
It
take
is
in the view while your tank
beautiful.
dies.
And I love all the verticality on our maps, but it has definitely forced us to make abilities in a better way. If we just had flat arenas like every other game, it would be way easier to make all this stuff. But that's why we were forced to make the cool homing hitbox tech that both Scattershot and Raining Death are using, because we're playtesting in the environment, we're figuring out what works or what doesn't, and then we're adjusting and building new stuff to fit.
Oh, it feels so good. Love the combat with this ranger. And obviously, we have a big showcase next month with regards to PvP in a more raid format. And you guys are going to be seeing some changes that are done to the mage effects as well, yeah? I think Scott's
yeah.
working on that now. Oh my god.
Scott and Siva, I believe, are both working on the mage next, so that'll be very exciting to see that get another pass, because, man, the mage can really throw down the particle effects.
Absolutely. Wow, that was a big pull, actually.
Shredded.
I love this area. And the mixture of creatures here is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I actually, like, the Raven has gone through a bunch of iterations, but I do like the current iteration of it. It could be a little bit more deadly, but I think it's fulfilling its role of, like, that popcorn mob. It's super annoying, but you can kill it really fast if you focus it down, then it won't give you as many issues.
Oh man, you just one-shot
I
that thing.
just one-shot that Raven.
By the way, Steven, isn't that shard over there like, kind of more relevant?
Which one? Oh, good call. Yeah, we should talk a little bit about this zone. So this is a small point of interest within the Riverlands area. Obviously, we're in the Riverlands. It is winter. And this particular location, called the Gem Spring, is a remnant, a shard remnant of one of the Harbingers that broke off and actually has begun some interesting interaction with Essence within this area. So those of you guys who are going to be participating in Alpha 2, this will be a location where you're going to have some related quests, and this gives you an idea about Gem Springs. Oh, we're here, Gem Spring. What do you say? Should we just do like a massive AoE?
Oh gosh. All right.
Do you want to
Do it.
pull him?
Yeah.
Get it all. Get
Keep
it
them
all.
in chains, though.
There's the
I got
tank is
Mary
using
down.
a bow
Pull 'em
too.
back in.
Get as many as you can.
Oh my god.
Yeah, big chungus pull.
I'm gonna go all the way around.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh, God.
here they come.
Okay. Where you at? Where you at?
They're right here. Oh, they leashed.
Okay, we got some of them. That wasn't bad. That wasn't too bad.
Fortunately, these
I
guys
like
are
that
just
he's
kinda
shooting
slow.
and moving at the same time.
Little mycelium. Let's take a look at their.
Huh? Not the ravens though.
Ooh, the ravens are quick. Ooh.
He was shooting behind him that time.
Oh, they push you out of the way. Woo! That was awesome. We cleaned up this place. That was very cool.
And I really need to get some better gear. My damage is terrible.
I wonder if there is something for us to discover up at the top. Should we go check it out?
Yes.
These poor spiders.
Well, that one's named.
Wait, that's a named mob.
Oh no! Oh no. Is it really?
Yeah. That's got like
Okay.
2.5k health.
Alright.
It's just a bigger spider.
Wait a
It's
minute.
like 3 times the normal spiders.
Let's see. No. It is, it has a lot of hit points here.
It really
I
does.
need a tank.
I'm trying. My damage is just so bad.
You don't need a tank.
Mark. Wait for it.
You're kiting pretty
Oh, there he
good, so.
goes.
Apparently, the tank's ability to hold aggro is tied to damage and not, like
Oh, I
taunts
think he
or
leashed him.
specific aggro
Oh, no.
abilities.
Kill him
Oh
quick.
no! Kill him!
Kill him, kill him, kill him.
Kill him!
Snare him.
Oh
Dude.
no! Oh no!
Wow, that's a classic moment right there.
All right, let's take him down. Let's take him down. Come on now.
All right, all deeps.
Come on now. Switch this one.
I mean, he doesn't hit that hard, so.
Got him!
And he leveled up.
We did it.
So you got to see the level up animation as well.
We've done the thing. Look at this view. Good God, man. It looks so good. How do we climb up here? Where are you going?
I'm just getting a better view.
Okay, hold on. Oh,
This is nice.
yeah, this is the Carfins in the distance.
It's a familiar point of interest.
It looks beautiful. Holy
Something over
smokes.
here.
Where?
Over yonder, around the rock.
I'm coming. I'm on my way. Oh, what is that?
Oh, floating
What is
rocks.
that?
We get a little sandal surprise left to us from our lovely environment artists.
It probably belongs to
Oh.
that spider back there.
No,
Sandaled
nest.
Christmas tree.
It's sandal nest. We killed it, and it had a sandal nest in adoration to the sandal wisdom.
Unreal
That's
Engine
such
5
amazing.
logo
Oh,
and
I love it.
everything.
Tristan and the environment team must have done an awesome job here. Some of these, I've never seen the sandal tree before. That's new. That's different. I wonder if the wind speed affects it.
Ashes of Creation
does.
logo topper on that
So
Christmas tree.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That is so awesome. Oh, is there like a little jump puzzle? Can you get up there?
You can. I don't know if you can get on the big tree.
That looks awesome. Well, guys, thank you for joining me and showcasing
Okay,
all of our
Ranger
great
is
viewers
awesome.
and
If the rest of the
many
archetypes are
members
like
the
this,
team
this
have
game is going to be
devoted
truly
to
amazing.
obviously upgrading our basic weapon attacks, the ranged weapons, the Ranger archetype. The zone is beautiful. The monsters are cool. Everything is shaping up very nicely as a great showcase for the end of the year. And guys, you're watching out there in the community. Obviously, we do these so that we can get your feedback. Oh no! Okay, we did it. So that we can get your feedback on things that you saw today. What did you think looked great? What things would you change? Look at that beautiful creek down there. My God, what a great winter wonderland. So please make sure to participate in our forums, on the social media, YouTube, video, everything. Talk to us about what you enjoyed today, and how you like the direction of the archetypes and the classes, the combat, how everything is going. I know it means a lot to Brian, Trad, Keenan, everybody else on the combat team, for you guys to give your feedback. Trad, Brian, Keenan, thank you for joining me and showcasing all your guys' hard work. This was great.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Guys, we'll see you back on stream to close out 2023. Bye, everybody.
See y'all.
Cheers.
Bye.
Welcome back, everybody. It seems like y'all really enjoyed it. So while we are answering your questions, Steven's got that glare going. He does really love when the sunbeams come in.
I'm
so-
sorry. Maybe I can fix that.
It's
Wait
those giant
for it.
windows you have.
How about now?
Now it's ruined your composition. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Of course, we love seeing all. Oh, sorry about the title here. We love seeing all of the wonderful comments in chat. You
Yes.
all were very, very happy. So that makes us really happy. Our combat team has been killing it, and I know that
Yes,
some of them
they
were very
have.
nervous.
Well, it's always a nervous thing to share your passion and your, the work that the team has been putting into this, right? We're doing this because we want to hit a bar that is acceptable and will make our community proud and make us proud, right? As developers, is the reason we do this is because we want to make people happy in their choice of entertainment, and we're all MMO gamers. But it's been very validating and positive to see you guys give us the response that, hey, you're going in the right direction, right? It may not be final, it may not be fully polished. There's still outstanding
Oh,
work to do,
lots of work to
obviously,
do.
right? But like, hey, each showcase after each showcase is an improvement, is a positive direction that we get to yield from the feedback that you guys give us. Because as this is playing, Margaret and I are like watching the chat. We're collecting the questions. We're evaluating what the commentary is. And a lot of the stuff you guys say, it's like, hey, this is already planned. That's great. That's perfect. We're validating our approach. It's a very positive interaction. It's one that I'm glad to see has been adopted a bit more so over the recent years in the industry for game development as a whole, which is to engage with the community at an earlier phase. And this is the produce of that interaction, right? This is what comes from that. And so we're very happy to share it with you, and we're glad to
And
see your guys' response to it.
we're also really thankful. There's been a lot of content creators who have been rating us today or watching simultaneously. So this is for you guys. Thank you all. We really appreciate it. I
You're
know at the
welcome.
moment we don't always have time to like divert and say thank you there.
Oh,
But we are
I
trying to
was
power through to ensure that we don't take up people's time too much.
I was
Go
I
ahead.
was on Asmongold's stream Asmongold's stream watching the their community over there and their commentary, and it seemed very positive as well. I loved it. It was great to see a broader audience than just our golden cohort here on the stream with some positive reception. It was very, very good to see.
Yeah. Of course, like Steven said, Vacnar and Roshan have been collecting questions as well as we've been adding some. So we're going to try to get through some of them. We won't get through a ton of questions because we'll be here all day if we answer everything, but we'll try to power through as many as we can. I do want to reiterate at the beginning, Steven did mention that he didn't have the cooldowns active so that he could show
Yes.
the abilities more frequently. So just again, reminder of that. The
Yeah.
first question here is what kind of utility abilities will Rangers have? Because that's something that we didn't really showcase there.
For sure. And before I get to the utility question, I just want to say, as you guys watch these demonstrations, particularly prior to our Alpha 2, and even during Alpha 2, like balance is not something we really dive into at all during this phase, right?
No.
We obviously do a finger in the wind pass on balance, but balance requires a lot of logging and data from playtesting. That is the goal of Alpha 2. But if you see things like cooldowns, like damage numbers, those things are very subject to
Balance
change.
of
They're
abilities
very
with classes and
easy.
things like that, or archetypes and
Absolutely.
classes.
And
Um,
it's very easy to tune those things. So just keep that in mind as we move into Alpha 2.
the difference
Um,
between data and, creating a whole
content.
animation or a whole,
Yeah,
VFX and stuff like that. They're just trying to get the look and feel down, and then the data side of it is something that they'll
for
be
sure.
tweaking. And you'll be seeing a lot of those changes in beta as we get into that phase where we're really polishing and
Absolutely.
really fixing bugs and making sure that we're in a state where we're like, hey, now we're balancing. And we'll make that clear
Yeah.
to you all like, hey, we want balance feedback. Right now, we're not asking for that.
Absolutely. Some of the utility skills that we think about when we design the archetypes, are how they counter and react to other archetypes. So, for example, a ranger is we think about that class fantasy of perception, right? A ranger is kind of in the outskirts. They're keeping their range. They're watching what's happening, and they have good perception. So, when we think about utilities, some of the examples of those utilities might be a rogue has invincibility, or excuse me, invisibility. How do you address invisibility? Well, a ranger might have a utility ability that spawns a hound that trails invisible targets within an AoE radius of the ranger, and you get that location.
Hmm.
Whereas a mage might have an arcane eye that actually reveals them to the party or the raid. Like those are the types of utility skills that we want to create. They offer counters and horizontal progression against the other archetype abilities that give them certain types of benefits. And that's how you create that rock, paper, scissors type of interaction between the classes, so that there's not, there's always going to be a meta, but you chip away at the relevancy of that meta when metas are highly situational, and utility spells are the responses to situational interactions.
What about, I think in the past we had shown like where rangers could track people
Yeah,
with
this
tracks
would
and
be a
stuff like
form of
that.
that tracking. Absolutely.
Cool, cool.
Yep.
The next one was, can you stack your
Well,
marks?
Margaret has her animal companion at least.
Right now, marks are not intended to be stacked. Right now, marks will I believe marks will. Is this still the case? Marks will override the previously applied mark, and the benefit of that is, like, we're not outscaling the mark efficacy too much by allowing them to stack. It gives us more power to place on each individual mark when we know that they'll be replaced if you use them. So they're very unique to kind of the situation that you need the mark for, but you can quickly kind of swap between them.
The next one is, tank has resolve, cleric has divine power. What does ranger have?
That's a very good question. It is the interaction between the hunts and the marks. That is something that we're going to be focusing in on a little bit more. Right now, that is still something that the combat team is working on for the ranger class.
And then we have, would one of the skill tree selections allow for a targeting reticle to be used?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there was a slight bug with the action camera mode for this particular display, and we didn't have time to fix it in time.
Brian was using
But
action whenever he was doing a practice
I
runs
know,
a lot.
I know,
So.
and I tried using action in the first attempt at this recording, and it bugged out for us, and we didn't have time to fix it. So
Okay, so action
we
combat
went
was
ahead
bugged
without
in
that.
this
But
build.
to answer your question, will these abilities? The question was, will these abilities work with action camera? Is that the question?
Yeah. No. It's would one of the skill tree selections allow for a targeting reticle to be used?
So targeting reticle is applied when you swap to the action camera mode. So that wouldn't be a part of the skill tree selection. It would just be an option that you can switch to by pressing Z currently. That uses a soft lock system for the targeting
I
reticle.
think the follow up here would be, especially for folks who really like ranged stuff, is being able to customize your reticle.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. From a UI perspective, just customizing the reticle shape. Absolutely. There will be a number of different reticle types that you can use.
Get on it, Colby and Co. No,
They already have a few. Actually,
I'm just messing.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got, what's the counterplay that a melee archetype has against a ranger? How can you avoid being
Sure.
killed by the targeted shots?
Yeah, it depends on the melee, right? If we're talking about fighter, they're going to have a lot of heavy gap closers. They can probably be a little bit more liberal in the use of their gap closers because they have so many of them, versus, let's say, a ranger that needs to choose when to use their escape abilities because they have fewer of them. The same would be true for a melee character like a rogue. Their approach vector is going to be more stealth driven than it would be perhaps, let's say, from a gap closer perspective. So they're going to stealth into position, and then that's where you're tracking your ability use for your getaway abilities.
And then is there
And then
go
real
ahead.
quick, the other thing is lockdowns as well, right? Melee users are likely going to have a number of different CCs to choose from, whether that be slowing the target, rooting the target, stunning the target, and then those allow them to get off their combos.
And yes, rangers can do it like once, but what you saw from the reason why it looked like Steven could do it unlimited was because he didn't have cooldowns, but there is a cooldown on it. So yeah, he might be able to get away from one of them, but let's say you put another one on them, then they're kind of SOL. The next
Straight
question,
out of luck.
yeah. And then we've got, is there going to be spell pushback when being hit? And if so, will the fast shooting short bow punish cast bar more? So if you're shooting really fast, will it push back casters?
No, there is not just a native pushback that exists for ranged attacks. Some attacks do have pushback effects, and also casters can experience a delay in their cast time due to concentration failures. So concentration is a stat that's associated with one of our primary attributes being um, uh, uh, a derivative waterfall for concentration checks. When concentration fails due to damage that's done, it is going to increase that casting time slightly. It won't interrupt it completely, but it will increase the casting time. But pushback is not a native effect that lives on any particular type of attack. It is something that is accompanying a specific ability.
All right. And then why did you move away from arrows being projectiles?
Arrows are still projectiles.
Yeah. I'm not sure where they came from
Yes,
that.
arrows are. I think maybe what they're referring to is more on the action side. So when we refer to projectiles, we're talking about hit scan verse projectiles. We are still using projectiles, but we are using a locking mechanism in tab targeting for those projectiles to home to the target. Should you have a valid angle in that perspective, the action side of that is that you can blind fire projectiles, and should a target move within the line of attack that the projectile is moving in, a great example of this is the orb ball that is lightning, which is kind of moving forward. You don't necessarily have to have a target to aim that at. You just move that slowly as it moves through the path. If another target moves and you're leading that target, it will strike the target. So we have blind fire currently. We're still going to be doing some touching up with the action combat side prior to Alpha 2.
That'd be useful,
Right
like if you
now,
have your
when you have the
tracking wolf
reticle over
following a
target, it
invisible
has a soft lock
target
on
that
the
you
target.
can't see, but you can see where the wolf
rapidly
is
move
pointing.
between
You
that
can
and
blind
action
fire
with
where the
reticle,
wolf is pointing to
into
hit
it.
the invisible target.
And then I think kind of a follow up to this is if I'm a tank and I get in the way of a shot of a ranger,
Yes.
I might.
It'll-
Okay, cool. So you are able
Yeah.
to like kind of block
And there
and
are
be,
certain
yeah.
battlefield abilities that you can use. You won't be able to just body block it, right? Not all projectiles can be body blocked. Some potentially can, but there will be certain abilities and effects like a shield wall that can be brought up, and that will obscure line of sight to the target as well, and it will restrict some of those attacks from occurring.
Fabulous. Our next one here is if I use wands or swords as a ranger, am I locked out of half of my kit because of the ranged abilities that are connected to a short bow or a long bow?
So right now we are still kind of approaching how we want the character paper doll between ranged weapons, bows or otherwise, to exist. Our thought process is
Oh,
currently
can I interject
that
one thing?
yes, absolutely,
There's a lot
yes,
of new people who are with us. And so
yeah,
people are like, Rangers can't use wands. The way that we have been building our product is that anybody can use any weapon, any armor. You may
yes,
not always be
and
viable in every situation, but that is the case. And then go ahead, Stephen. I just wanted to,
correct.
I just saw
And
the
just for
chat. So
those of you who are new, last month we did do a little showcase on crafting, which talks a little bit about itemization and how you can, through certain recipes and material uses, augment the types of stats that live on certain itemizations to be relevant across all the different archetypes, right? So there is a bit of choice when it comes to players that craft these items on whether or not they want to have physical damage values versus magical damage values. And that leads to a very competitive, healthy open market, which is something that is integral to Ashes of Creation. But as it relates to Rangers being able to use certain abilities with bows equipped, some abilities will require bows to be equipped. And those abilities can be used with a bow and not without bows.
and for those of you who are newer to how we have our classes set up is that you have a primary archetype and a secondary archetype. And that secondary archetype can really dive into other things like maybe you're a ranger, but you're a summoner secondary, or you're a ranger and you're a mage secondary. And that might be more viable for carrying a wand versus having a
Right.
bow. So I'm just trying to give some
Correct.
perspective on that.
Yeah, there are a lot of customization options, right? Your primary archetype is the delivery vehicle for your active abilities. Your secondary archetype augments those active abilities into something else, but doesn't give you new active abilities, right? And so that's
It
something
kind of
very
creates your
important to keep in
class.
mind.
Yeah.
Correct. Hmm.
Um, and then people did see this in there, but I think reiterating to make it clear, they were
Hmm.
wondering, can you move while casting all of the ranger abilities?
Not all of them. Some of them root the target. For example, snipe is one that does restrict your ability to move. Um, but the vast majority, yes, you can move. Now, there is a slight movement penalty that's applied for a lot of those abilities, the ones that can move. But for the most part, yes, this is a very mobile archetype approach.
And of course, you know, the locking down of making you not be able to move while you're casting certain abilities is a balancing factor, right? So that's
Yeah.
something that the development and design team can work on to be like, ooh, okay, this is very powerful. So maybe it isn't something you can do while you're moving. So kind of keeping
Yeah.
that in mind. They'll balance it to make sure that it makes sense for the type of ability and kind of what type of damage or whatever its effects are.
For sure. So just to dial in a little bit there, abilities are vehicles for conferring effects onto a target, right? And as you were describing balance-wise, there's a number of different interactions mechanically that you have within an ability that you can adjust in order to balance its power. The most common ones are cooldown, mana consumption, damage done, effect status conferred, promotion of that effect status, range. Those are the kind of primary methods by which
And
you
not the
adjust.
only.
Correct. Yes,
He's
that's
just going
correct.
off the top of his head. I just
There's a
want to remind
lot of
people.
there's a lot of different things that play into that, but those are the primary mechanical constructs of a particular ability, right? And so, for example, we were talking about airstrike, how it confers a lot of different effects onto a target, being that it does damage, being that it's used for mobility, being that it also applies a CC effect. And so, in order to balance that, not talking about specific numbers that it does, or the length of the CC effect, or the opposed stat check for that particular CC effect, and the mana consumption, it's also the cooldown. It's a very big ability with a large cooldown effect. So you want to use it and manage your resources. And those of you who are MMO players, you know all this. You want to manage your resources effectively.
All right. And I think you're already talking about balancing and maybe more specifically towards Ranger. I think that generally the overwhelming everyone was really excited for the Ranger. They loved
Sure.
seeing it. They thought it was cool. But there was definitely a mix of what people felt was not balanced. So I don't know if you want to,
Well,
if you can go in, we already discussed that we're not in the balancing phase right now, but perhaps you can talk a little bit about what our balancing process is for archetypes as an overall,
yeah,
like
I
our
mean,
theory,
when
our
we
design
when we
theory.
move into the balance phase, right? I just talked about the primary components that we use in order to get that initial balance pass. But when we move into Alpha 2 and we have a lot of data that's kind of supporting the use of these particular abilities in combat settings, how often they're used, how often they result in death, what the average damage done by this archetype is comparatively to other damage done by different archetypes, all of that data gets logged, right? And all of that data gets queried in order for us to refine the abilities so that they live in the environment we want them to. Now, that's not to mean that we're going to have, perfect balance across the board between the archetypes. Again, we're taking a rock, paper, scissor approach to balance, which means that some archetypes will do better against other archetypes and vice versa. And we're also not creating an environment where we want to have 1v1 balance. We are focused around group balance, group composition. Group composition is important, right? We're not creating a highly competitive game that might be a Valorant or a League of Legends, right? This is an MMORPG, which means that there are going to be certain classes that perform better than other classes in certain situations, and that's part of the grand strategy, right? That is something we want people to think about compositionally when they arrange their groups and their raids for the particular content that they're facing. Now, we have not done a balance pass yet, right? And we haven't used the metrics we need in order to create that more acceptable balance for hitting the target we want to hit for these particular archetypes. So when you're looking at this, you should be looking at it with the lens of, does this look fun? Does this look like
Yeah,
something
there's
I
no
want to
reason to
play?
expect any
Not,
sort of
is
gameplay
that damage
balance in
number too
alpha
high?
stage.
Is that attack
They
speed
don't
too
even
high?
have all
Is
the
that cooldown
archetypes and
too low?
classes implemented
That is
in the
something
game
that
yet.
we
I mean,
will
you can't
address, but
balance when
not
you don't even
now.
have
And
everything
we
When
in to
we do
will
balance
address it, we will
against.
get that
asking you.
feedback.
Yeah.
Correct, exactly. Yes. When we do have people playtesting and involved in the alphas 2 and betas, that is when we will ask those questions and accompany it with data.
Exactly. All right. Now that we got that out of the way, reminder that, like Steven said, as you're watching this, as you're looking at it, really think about the look and feel. Think about the things that you liked, the things that you don't like, things that you'd like to see that the Ranger might have in the future. and head on over to our forums and give us some feedback over there. I believe Vecna already has the forum thread up, so please, 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 I implore you, if you have thoughts, if you're a ranged lover, or if you fight rangers often in PvP and you have thoughts in regards to that, go over there and toss us your feedback. We'll be compiling that and handing that over to the devs in the new year. So please, please, please head on over there. We would love for your feedback. Our team is very adamant about reviewing feedback and looking over it and making sure that we're all headed in the right direction. But definitely from looking at the chat, I think everybody is really enjoying it. So that's a good feeling. There's lots of good vibes going on in chat in our internal Slack right now.
Yeah, one thing I want to say is that, look, this isn't the let me say it like this. From a while ago, we have known that we needed to improve our approach on combat. And if you think about what we just talked about those testing scenarios and the information we need to improve combat and balance, that was true in Alpha 1. And we got a lot of great feedback from Alpha 1.
Mhm.
And it was that feedback that has led us to this approach you see now as the result of that feedback and our hard work, particularly on the combat team, iterating over time to improve the combat loop. Now, when we see the response from the community initially to this combat, we are seeing, hey, this looks good, right? And so that helps us validate, okay, we took the feedback from the testing, we changed our approach, we iterated upon it, and now we're delivering something that visually looks compelling to our audience, right? That is a perfect loop of iteration, incorporating the community as part of their responsibility to provide us feedback, because nobody wants to see a game get launched that hasn't had the opportunity to collect feedback from the players. We've seen those games before, right? And that's what this interaction right now, our monthly development update, is intended to safeguard against. And so I just want to give kudos to the combat team because, in my opinion, having played this and watched this and seen the community's response to it, they've done a great job. They have done a great job in moving away from what was our direction prior to Alpha 1 to now having developed for Alpha 2 a significantly revamped combat experience. And I think it feels good and it plays well and it's fun.
Even just internally, I mean, we don't talk about this all the time, but it kind of goes right into moving into our studio update, which is what we're going to talk about next. You know, we are continually iterating our internal processes, and they've been really finding a good, like you said, rotation in regards to the process internally of how they create abilities and how they create archetypes and weapons and things of that sort. So it is, like Brian said in the stream, it is a team effort. You know, there may be one person whose head is on the line for one thing or the other, but
the single wingable neck.
Yes, but in the end, everyone has. It's a collaborative effort to make these things come together. And our development team is, oh my gosh, wonderful, passionate people, and that goes to show in when we're looking at attrition rate over the years. You know, industry standard is like over 30%, right? And we're at 3.33% or something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yes. So people who come here really enjoy working here. And you know, sometimes things change in people's lives and they come and go, and that is pretty normal.
Yes.
But we're under the
standard. Just to comment a little bit about that as we go into the studio update, for those of you who are watching who may not be as actively engaged in the development process of Ashes, what I will say is that where we were prior to Alpha 1 and where we are today are two very different positions, right? We are now at over 170 people full-time on the team developers who are creating Ashes of Creation. And, you know, we have seen over the course of this last year significant progress from a development perspective for Ashes of Creation. And it's, I mean, as you guys can see through these updates, it is starting to look and feel pretty good. And there is still a long road to go. So what I would say is that those of you who are finding it hard to be patient for the game's release, that's understandable, 100%. But we have a very clear objective. We have a very clear goal, and that is to create something special. And you know, the timeline for something special is hard to define. You can't put a time box around finding fun, right? And sometimes when games or publishers try to do that, it doesn't end well. And so we want to make sure, because we have spent the better part of the last 7 years developing Ashes of Creation, that we execute on it well, and that takes some time and it
Can I
takes
make a
some
note on
passion.
that front too? I think people
Yes.
think like, oh, you've been in development for 7 years, but keep in mind the team was very small those first few years. Like if you have 5 or
Absolutely, yeah.
10 people working on your staff, you're not going to be able to accomplish as much as you are with 170. So
Oh, come on. That's not just me. Chat's going
but I just want
crazy.
to make
There
that
it
clear
goes.
that only within the last couple of years have we really grown our team. A lot of
Well,
the previous
yes.
was getting the foundation design, making
And,
sure.
and to be fair, that's intentional, right? Like when John and I started this studio, having not had a
I
background in
think the
gaming,
frames are
and
something's happening.
oh, did my frames
Yeah.
die? Can you hear me? Okay.
No, you're good. I think it's something
Okay.
to do with Twitch server.
All right. How about now?
It's clearing up. Now we're good.
Okay.
Now go ahead.
So
Sorry.
it's all good. What
The
I was
Twitch
going to say is
server's
that
having a struggle.
when John and I started this company back in 2016, we had just a couple of people on the team. I think Keith was one of our senior character artists, was the first hired, and in 2017, we got up to maybe 20 people. We aren't a Blizzard or Microsoft or a Riot that has hundreds of people and billions of dollars to spend on development, right? This is out of our pockets and out of the pre-order packs that we've done combined are creating this game. And so we built the studio in a very sustainable fashion, right? And exactly, yes, and Kickstarter. We built yes, we built the studio in a very sustainable fashion, with a very clear goal and vision that we have stuck to over the years. And as we're wrapping up 2023 and in December, and we look back on those things, and obviously, break coming up is always a very introspective time. I'm very proud of what this team has accomplished and what the company has grown to become, because we've kept our identity in that time, being very passionate MMORPG gamers, creating something that we've always wanted to see in a game, and one that upholds to this non-pay-to-win philosophy, who believes in the integrity of the player and the community that's participating in Ashes of Creation. So, there is something special there, I think, that is unique about Intrepid, and you guys are seeing that shine through as we give you these development updates.
We understand not everything's going to move super quickly, but we will make good on everything that we're doing. So just making sure that
Absolutely.
you have patience with us. I think we've all seen games that have been pushed out quickly, and we're like, wow, they really should have taken more time. But a lot of those companies have a lot of pressure to push things live.
Absolutely, yes.
And we are fortunate, Stephen. Stephen is the only one who can pressure us. So if he's like, get it done, we're like, all right, boss man.
I get pressure. I get pressure. But just to comment on that, what I would say is that shit, I lost my thought there. I'm sorry, I lost my thought.
Yes,
so you distracted me on the pressure.
Sorry. In regards to taking our time and making sure that we have quality product.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean,
that
that is very true. I know. Here's what I was going to say, is that, look, what we are trying to do, which is to create a community-focused feedback loop for our
the studio update's kind of dragging on unnecessarily long.
That champions the integrity of the player. And with the intricate, detailed systems and interconnectivity that Ashes provides in a very sandbox environment, where you can actually see, not just hear buzzwords of the environment reacting to the actions of the players, that should be something that everyone roots for. Everyone in this industry and in the community of MMORPG gamers should be rooting for the success of projects like ours, because innovation only occurs when risk takers move forward to achieve something. That is important. And whenever you see a community that comes back and is negative about the outlook or the prospects of a particular project, it's fair to give criticisms. It's fair to talk about things that should change. We want that. That's why we engage with the community. But at the end of the day, we should be rooting for the success of people who dare to take risks, because risks are how things change and how we get a better environment for the MMORPGs that we love.
And I get a lot of messages like, "Oh, are you worried about this or that product?" And it's like, no, there's room for everybody. There's room for a lot of
Yeah,
games. There's lots of people. There's lots of games. So we are friends with a lot of the people who make other games. So
absolutely.
I think that from our perspective, it's a community. We are all a community creating games and creating wonderful memories for people and places
Yes.
for people to grow and have their own sub communities. So 100%, we are here for that, and there's no hard feelings in regards to that. Um,
No, no, not at all.
Anything else you want to talk about on the studio side? I know there's been a lot going on, and obviously this is the end of the year to recap the year. Obviously going to show
We
up with
just
the Rangers.
yeah, we've been having some great luck on the hiring front. Obviously, my heart goes out to the industry right now. It's a
So many
difficult time
layoffs.
within
I
the
can't
gaming
imagine being laid
industry.
off like right before Christmas too. Like,
It's
and
it's
having
terrible
to.
to see, and it literally tears apart my heart to watch some of these very talented developers, through no fault of their own, have to suffer a layoff, particularly at this time of year. And I know that the industry will bounce back, but we've had some great success in bringing on some amazing talent to the team over the course of these last few months. We just celebrated the end of this milestone. We're going on break starting on Friday, and we'll be returning on January 2nd. We watched we got together and rented out the theater here and watched Willy Wonka with our families and the developers. That
Steven
was a
didn't
lot of
know it
fun.
was a
I did not
musical.
I
God,
did
I
not
hate
know
to
it was
work
a
at
musical.
places
I'm
that do
not
that sort
necessarily a
of
fan of
community
musicals, but I
building
thought it was
stuff.
great.
I just
I
want to do
enjoyed it.
my
It was
work, do
fun.
my
I
work
looked
well, then
across the
go
room
home
when the
and not
first song
see these
started and
people
I said,
again.
"Oh, I didn't know that." But regardless, we had a lot of fun, and we're just kind of winding down the year. It's a lot of head fires right now with getting some of our playable builds over the week that we want to have available. But the team has been just killing it. So kudos to the team, everyone at Intrepid that's watching. Great job this year. I mean, it
If we
was
could
truly
get some,
it was
if
great.
you're watching us live here in Twitch, giving us some hearts in chat for our wonderful development team, I'm sure that they would
Absolutely.
appreciate that. And then, of course, if you're watching us over on YouTube, you can toss some hearts in there as well in the comments. We would love that. And, we just appreciate you guys. We hope that you appreciate us. We try to give as much love and and knowledge to you all, so the community team's going to kill me because I just made you guys spam. So
Oh no.
sorry in advance. But whilst we're getting all those hearts in chat, we can continue them for the love of the art. If you don't mind
Yes.
us moving on to that, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first and foremost, we have a whole slew of weapons that we're going to be showing off for you guys, including books, wands, focuses, scepters, daggers, spears, bows, shields, swords. So I'll kind of let this loop through so you can see all of the cool things. There's a whole set of novice items
That's a
that
pretty
they'll be
nice
working
sword.
towards, as well as I believe the Sons of Fortune set and a few other little bits and pieces here.
That's
But
a reasonable
really, we're
spear.
working on making sure that when you're leveling up from level 1 through 15, that you have a lot of cool things that you can craft, as well as things that you
It's
can
a
obtain
wand.
through, defeating creatures and stuff like that. So they're really honing in on that level 1 through 15 experience. When it
Okay,
comes
the
to
book looks
crafting and
awesome.
crafting of
It
items.
reminds me a lot
Do
of
you have
the
anything else to add on that front, Stephen?
No, it's
nar-
just
narrative
we've
from
been
Baldur's Gate 1.
very heads down for the better part of this year, focusing on the feature development of a lot of the gameplay systems, and over the course of the last few months, we've been gearing up obviously towards Alpha 2, which you'll be getting in a little bit of an announcement here in a second, and focusing on the progression path, from level
I don't
1
know if
all the
that's
way up
supposed to be a
to
mace or an
level
axe.
30, I believe we're targeting for Alpha 2. So it's been nice to kind of see some of the lower level stuff
Kind of
getting
a
some
nature wand.
DLC, but also the character progression as well. And I think the artists have done a great job with a lot of these weapons.
Yeah, and obviously, as you level up further, there will be more crazy and cool
A
looking
fantasy
stuff.
bow.
So, just kind of, showing
I guess
you
that's a
bits.
scepter.
We don't want to show you everything, but give you a little bit. And I also have that mace in a little turntable as well.
Oh, so it's a mace.
Out there. I'm a big mace fan. As like a cleric / paladin, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that mace. Looks great.
The next one we have is this is a work in progress, but we like to share some work in progress stuff. So the next one is the Remnant Sympathizer outfit. This is the part of the last pack.
That's ugly.
Like I said, it's work in progress. There will be particle effects and things of that sort. They're still finalizing things, but you can kind of see where it's headed. It's cool for me because I designed this set, so seeing it in a
Ooh, look at
3D
that.
space always gets me excited. But yeah,
Looks
they've been
great.
killing it. Danny's been doing a good job making it come to 3D life. And then I think we have a turntable of this as well, so you can see that.
Yeah, that is
Very
just
good.
a very, very
No.
ugly armor set.
The little metal head in me. That's where this came from. For those,
Very dark.
I know a lot of people are like, how did this come out of her? Her
Very
mind.
dark.
It's the same place that the snores came out of, the wisp walk, out of this weird mind of mine. Next, we have the Goblin Shaman that Jinxie's been working on, which is very, very cool. You'll be definitely seeing this.
That looks good.
In Alpha 2.
Exactly what I'd expect from a goblin
3D
shaman.
Oh, look at him.
Aw,
He's
so
just ready
cute.
to flay some humans.
It's fine. But I love the mask. I really hope that the mask and the staff are droppable items because I think people would love let me know in chat
Absolutely.
if you would rock that mask because
I would
The
rock
mask, no, but I would like the staff.
in real life
Uh,
too, if we
So
can get some
Jinxie,
cosplay.
we need that as a mask item and that staff too. It's so cool.
I'd like to
and
walk into a conference room with that mask on.
I'm here for it. Oh, you know how like they have the
That'd be great.
speaking sticks or something like that? You just have a speaking mask.
Yes.
We used to do that at my Pathfinder table when we were younger in high school because otherwise everyone would talk over each other. So we had we had funny hats. So if you were wearing funny hat, that meant you were like in character. So you had to so you knew who was trying to get stuff happening versus not. Because we had 13 people, so it was a lot.
You had 13 people in your high school
Yeah. Well, 13 people in our high school D&D game.
class. Oh, and D&D game. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
Because we played on Sundays after church. It was fun.
As you do after church. Very
yeah.
nice.
The devil's work, I know.
I
That's what
know,
they
right?
said to us is we're doing that.
Oh no.
Back in that day. Back in the 90s when people thought, we were doing bad things.
Right.
But yeah, great job, Chris, Danny, Jinxie, Manny, and Priscilla. Killing it.
Yeah, I remember when I was a
Fantastic
kid,
stuff, so thank you for doing it. I know
they would
sometimes
talk
they're
about
working on
playing
stuff and we're
Dungeons
like,
and
"I don't wanna
Dragons
start
in the
yet."
news
Well,
every
we get
time
to
some
see a
kids
lot
got
of amazing
caught in
artwork
a,
that
playing
he
in the
does.
sewers of the large
So
cities around
I'll
here.
share a little bit of it. And you'll see tons more in Alpha. So,
Of course, in
moving
truth,
on
playing
to
Dungeons and
Q&A.
Dragons means you're just doing math.
All right, we'll play some more videos, or we'll play the Ranger stuff while we're doing Q&A.
And maybe we just do Q&A for the next 10 minutes.
All right.
Does that sound good?
Yep.
And then we can do the announce?
Yep, we'll do the announce.
All right, let's do
The
it.
thing that everyone's been waiting for.
Oh my goodness.
Chrono Stormwater wants to know about general respecking. I know we've talked about this topic before, but they're being very particular. We've talked about it when it comes to artisanship, but now they're asking, what are your plans for the wider respecking landscape of Ashes of Creation? Will it be easy or difficult, and will there be a cost involved with general respecking? So I think this is more in archetype specific. I know we've talked about it in other aspects before.
Yeah, it's going to be more difficult in artisanship. From an archetype perspective, as it relates to skills, it will be a bit easier. I am still conflicted on whether or not I want to allow respecs on the fly. I don't believe we should. I believe that respecking should be done at a particular location that requires a bit of transit and some strategic thinking ahead of time about the encounters that you're expecting. But respecking your class should be relatively easier, obviously with that constraint of being at a particular location.
All right, and then we've got Sweaty Cup, that's name, wants to know about artifacts. If a player collects a 1 per server item, but stops playing stops paying their subscription or quits playing the game, will they get to keep the item till they return?
It depends. It depends on the item. If we're talking about artifacts, those will likely be timed. There are some ideas that we have around whether or not artifacts get to stay with the character, get downgraded from an artifact status if they were to, let's say, not log in after a period of time, or if that time period goes away. But it's something we're going to be testing as part of the end of Alpha 2, near the later stages of Alpha 2. But right now, artifacts are timed.
Yeah, and for those of you who are new, artifacts are really, really rare items that you can
Single
obtain.
items.
Yeah, and
Yes.
there's only 1 of them on the server. So
At a
they're
time,
very,
correct? Yeah.
yeah, very, very, very cool. The next one is VR Dynasty, I believe, or Ver Dynasty. They want to know about crafting recipes. With the map being as large as it is and recipes being potentially earned anywhere, are there region-specific recipes that would be very hard to find, if not impossible to earn on the other side of Vera? So will there be
Yes,
rare recipes?
absolutely. There are absolutely extremely rare recipes, and not just having rare recipes, but also there are rare unlocks that exist within the recipe as well, as we talked about last month, that you can discover. Recipes get delivered in a number of different ways through vendors, through social organizations, through religions, through drops, through bosses, and it kind of through treasures as well. And a lot of those can be locationally dependent. So, yes, there are recipes in certain areas that you can find that you will not find in other areas as well.
Look, I tried to get a wolf mount the other day, and that thing is complicated too. So,
Yes,
whatever
that's
you,
right.
there's many things that will be at the end of it. You will feel very satisfied that you did put the effort in to get it. The next one is Raven016, who wants to know about crafting. How many Grandmaster level crafting stations can a node stage 5, aka city node, have?
Right now, I believe so. Grandmaster station at stage 5. I believe that there can be one Grandmaster station at stage 5, and that there can be two at stage 6.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was
I
two at
believe.
the Metropolis, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Tyrol wants to know about universal skills. Will each archetype be equally efficient with universal skills like dodging and active blocking, or will each of them kind of have their own versions and flavors, or will some people be more powerful than others?
Yeah, right now we have a host of different universal skills. That is rolling, active block, and what we want to do is we want to provide a progression path that's shared for those universal skills across all the archetypes. So when you spend skill points, you can choose to spend them within the universal skill set and unlock particular ability types for the universal skills as well. But you will be spending them from the skill points that you would normally spend within your class-specific skill tree. And this offers, again, a different wheel of customization that I think is interesting.
Right. And then Lineker wants to know about node artisanship benefits. We know that the best processing is done in freeholds and the best crafting is done in nodes, but is that restricted to academic nodes only? What benefits or restrictions do node types have in regards to crafting?
There are no restrictions as it relates to the best crafting, meaning access to those crafting stations. However, the academic or scientific nodes, those provide bonuses and strengths towards crafting within the node, right? So it's not a hard lockout; it's a soft bonus system.
Okay. And then Gall wants to know about world building. Is it correct that Intrepid Studios is building the Western continent first and then the Eastern continent is coming afterwards? Or is that not the right way to think about the game's direction of development?
No, that is accurate. We are focused on the Western continent first, and I don't know how you got that information. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, they've
Yes,
seen the
we're
map
focused.
and then we've
I
been
know, I
talking
know,
about the areas. I think they
I
can,
know.
anybody can read a
Yes,
map.
we are focused on the Western continent right now. That is accurate. Yes.
Top wants to know about AoE abilities. Is the impact of an area effect, offensive or defensive, limited to a number of targets or by an area?
Currently, our diminishing return approach is not to restrict the number of targets that can be affected by a particular thing. We do have player collision. So in and of itself, that provides a limited quantity of individuals who can be affected by area of effect spells. We're going to be playtesting and experimenting with a few different diminishing return approaches as it relates to AoE abilities as well as status conditions.
All right. And as I wrap up these last two questions, I think we're going to be able to answer them in time. I don't know if Wagner or Roshan want to get a poll in chat. I'm just curious what quarter everyone thinks next year will go into Alpha
Order
2.
three.
See if where it matches up against what the announce is. So the next question here is from Caddick, and they want to know about gathering. If another player is gathering a tree and I come in for the final chop, do I get the tree?
Yes. if you come in and so it depends on who completes the gathering interaction first. So if they've begun and you come in and you have a faster gathering time because of either your profession experience, the tool you're using, the upgrades you've chosen, or the outfit you're wearing, you could conceivably complete it before them. But again, it is awarded to the first player to complete.
All right, and then our last question here is from Cash Quests, and they want to know about ranged attacks. Can Stephen elaborate further on why the minimum distance required was removed for the Rangers' ranged attacks? This came from a
Yeah,
conversation
quite.
with you on Discord.
Sure. So to give greater context there, originally when I was thinking about the Ranger, I had thought about introducing a minimum range requirement in order to offset its flexibility in combat and having them think a little bit more strategically about positioning on the battlefield. That became an unfun experience when we play tested it. And so we decided to remove it. Instead, we may choose to play around with things like range, too close of range affecting something maybe like accuracy. We haven't play tested with that, or we just might not incorporate it and instead let it live within the abilities. You saw an example of that with regards to the lightning ability having variable effects conferred at different ranges. That right now is the approach that we're taking.
And with that, we ready for our little announce? Should I just play it?
I think, well, before we play it, maybe we can play it, or no, let me talk about this for a
I
second.
know we're gonna have some thoughts afterwards that we need to.
Okay,
say,
I want
so.
everyone in the audience to breathe with me. We're just gonna breathe in. Wait, hold on,
Oh,
breathe out.
stop the yoga
Breathe out.
bullshit.
Now breathe. And then breathe out. I want you to understand, those of you who are watching, those of you who might not be watching and following the project as much as others in our community. This is a long time coming. Alpha 2 is a major testing period for the product, for the game. And it is intended to be something that provides us with a great amount of wealth of information and iterative processing that we can then go back and touch on certain systems, combat, everything, right? Now, we are going to give you our projection according to our schedule that we believe that we are going to hit Alpha 2. But we have already begun testing. We're going to be continuing testing over the course of the remainder of December, January, February, March. We are going to be testing a lot over
He
the
just
course
pretty
of the
much
next several
eliminated
months.
Q1.
Sometimes that testing can prove to set us back a little bit. Hopefully that is not the case. We are very far ahead of a lot of the more nebulous questions from a development perspective. So we feel really good about it. But I want you to take obviously what we're announced with Alpha 2 with a grain of salt, right? This is not a game that we're launching in Alpha 2. This is truly a testing environment. This is something that if you are considering purchasing Alpha 2, that you should make sure you understand this is not a game experience. This is a testing platform. Those of you who are in PI and who were previous Alpha 1 testers, it's going to be a lot of spot testing. It's going to be a lot of preparation for Alpha 2, and it's going to be a lot of work, essentially, right? To want to log in and play through wipes multiple times potentially before we get to Alpha 2. There may be wipes in Alpha 2, right? We can't accurately predict that. So we are very excited about Alpha 2 at the studio. Very excited about Alpha 2 because it is a large segment of the game and in a pretty sizable portion of the world. And it is going to be a major test bed for us to validate the interactions of all of these systems that we've built. And it's going to be an exciting time, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. And so with that, I think that we can show when we expect Alpha 2 to land, which quarter in 2024.
Q3, I knew it.
All right, there you have it. Q3. We are going to see you all On Vera, we're
So
very
I'm gonna
excited to announce
go.
things.
It
We
releases
are
on
doing some test
September
beta testing
26th,
already. I know
but
we
most
mentioned
people won't
last,
actually
I
be
think
able to
we're
log in and
already
play it
full
because of
testing, and
server
that got
issues
people.
until
I got
September
some really
30th.
riled up because they're like,
I
"Wait,
know.
I'm not there." So to kind of reiterate, right now we are doing internal testing. We're going to be expanding that to PI. They are the first people who get in, and then we will be expanding that further and further as we get further along, as we get closer to that Q3 mark. All of the testing prior to that Q3 mark will be under NDA unless we say otherwise. So keeping that in mind, you won't hear conversation about it because we won't be talking about it. People who are testing should not be talking about it because it's not in a state that we're ready to share. But once we are in Q3, once we are ready to announce the date, we'll probably announce it before, so you'll know the date so you can plan. And of course, we'll be reaching out to those of you who have Alpha 2 access in advance as well. So you'll get messaging, you'll be notified. Make sure that you have your email available, that you don't have us going to your spam so you don't miss it. But we'll also make note of this on all our social. Hey, emails have gone out. So if you are an Alpha 2 access person, stay tuned. We will be reaching out to you later as we get closer to Q3. And yeah, just want to make sure that that's clear because I think it got people. We got a lot of CS tickets that were like, I don't have access yet, and I was like, no, not yet. It confused people a little bit.
We will be very
Vocal.
proactive with the messaging, guys. As Margaret said, keep an eye out on emails. We'll be sending out information as those testing dates draw near.
Yeah, and I think there were some questions that people had. I think we clarified the first bit of it, and then the second bit of it was the persistency of Alpha 2 and what that looks like. I think some people think persistence means 24/7 up forever.
Yeah, there will absolutely be downtimes 100%, right? Again, this is a testing bed. And when those downtimes need to happen or those wipes need to occur, we are going to do what's best for the product, not for the experience in Alpha 2. And that's a very clear distinguishment between what to expect when we launch the game, which is all about the player experience,
Yeah.
versus the development process that is Alpha 2. So it's very important to understand that dichotomy.
And the goal is to eventually have our Alpha to that stream to end up being our like
Public
PTR
test server.
test realm down the line.
Yeah.
So it will kind of run simultaneously through the other ones, but of course still downtime. There will be downtime. It's not going to be 24/7 always. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear to folks because that I have been seeing a lot of discussion going around about that. Once we are in Alpha 2, that will no longer have an NDA. So then you'll be able to stream and share and screenshot and talk about it. But prior to that, remember, shh, keep it secret, keep it safe.
Shh, keep it safe.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Anything else you want to add on that front, Steven?
No, just excited and happy to be here with you guys. Excited for the end of the year. Excited for next year. It's going to be a fun time, and things are moving fast.
Yeah, we hope that you all are able to stay safe and you can spend time with those you love during this holiday season. I know not everybody has that opportunity, but you know, we do have community space over here. You can come hang out with us for the holidays. We are at Ashes of Creation, all the places. The YouTube video for the 4K version is up. The full development update video will go up tomorrow, pending, you know, YouTube wants to cooperate and Twitch wants to cooperate. Please head on over to our forums. We are always engaging you with feedback or asking you for feedback. You can head on to forums.ashesofcreation.com. We have several things. Drop rarities up right now. Give us your feedback on that. And of course, the Ranger archetype. We would love to hear your thoughts on that. Reminder that the Unseen Order cosmetics are going to be ending January 17th. So that is your last chance to get a pre-order pack or your friends do. We may extend, you know, other opportunities to purchase into Alpha 2 access, but there will no longer be pre-order packs available. So just keeping that in mind.
That is a big point. I want to make sure,
Go for it.
and we'll send messaging out as well. But we have given multiple months now of notice that we'll be ending the pre-order packages come January 17th. This is not intended to be a FOMO. Like I said, we gave multiple months of notice. We may be opening up Alpha 2 access in a different form at some point in the future, closer to Alpha 2.
If we can service those users.
Correct, and that's dependent on internal testing. It's dependent on the external testing that we're doing as well. That is going to help inform that decision. But as it stands now, we will be ending pre-order packages January 17th across everything, whether it be beta or alpha.
And then, of course, we would love to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much for all the raids and people who are watching from their other channels. We really appreciate that you're sharing the world of Vera with other people and sharing the love for Ashes of Creation. We really, really appreciate that. And of course, thank you to all of you who are watching and joining us and sticking with us throughout this entire very long live stream. And of course,
Is this another
to-
2-hour live stream?
yeah.
Oh
I
no.
think me and you also had a lot of side conversations, but
That's
I feel like
true.
wrapping up the year, we don't want to rush it, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you to Trad and Brian and Keenan for your work and joining us for Showcase and showcasing the Ranger in a great way, and of course Steven for your time. And we hope that you all are going to be just as excited as us in the new year, because we'll see you then. I'm gonna be married next time I'm on the
Oh
stream.
my goodness. I am so excited. I cannot wait. John and I
Me
are
too.
ready to go. We got our flight ready and everything.
Yay! I'm so excited. So yeah, not only have we been wrapping up the year, I've also been planning a wedding. So it's been a crazy time for me. But we'll see you all next month for another development update.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Bye, guys.
Okay. Well, that wraps this up, and just a few closing thoughts here. The Ranger plays so vastly different from the cleric and the tank and the fighter that we've seen previously. It's almost like it's a archetype from a different game. I wonder if that's going to come back and reflect back on the other archetypes as well as they get more fleshed out. Because obviously, you know, the first ones that get presented are going to be less complete than the later ones. So, yeah, Q3 for Alpha 2. Kind of expected that. And, well, it was a very interesting thing to watch. I mean, the Ranger isn't quite what I wanted, but I do think it is going to be a interesting and viable archetype for people to play. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be doing a summary video about this sometime tonight.